Hey everyone, welcome to Bad Yogi Q&A Wednesday with me, Erin Motz, where I answer the questions that you send me via email and social media too. What do we have today? Okay, today's question comes from Angela, and she writes, any suggestions on getting better with yoga breathing while I practice? I struggle with keeping yoga breath and end up either holding my breath or panting. When I refocus my breathing, it helps, but I keep forgetting to breathe in the first place. Any suggestions? This is such a great question because I think whether you're brand new at yoga or you're just getting back into it, the breath is such an important component, but it's also completely mystifying at some points. So the first thing I want you to do, if you're kind of struggling with this or working on this, is I want you to think of your breath not as something that you need to control, but as a gauge. The pace of your breath, the way your breath feels, the way it flows, is there to kind of tell you where you're at in your practice. If you find yourself panting really heavily, or if you find your breathing struggled, maybe it's time to dial it back a little bit, take child's pose, take down dog, take something that allows you to kind of recalibrate and get yourself back on a pace that feels more natural and that feels sustainable. Now, the best way to keep your breath and your body in sync with each other is to track your breath and use that tracking as a way of moving meditation, I'll call it. The best way to keep your breath in sync with your body while you practice is to track it as you move. And I know that kind of takes the magic out of it, or at least it sounds like it does, but there's a really meditative quality about moving your body in sync with your breath. So for example, in a sun salutation, when you inhale, bring your arms up overhead, exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, exhale, fold, right? There's this flow, there's this natural kind of pattern that feels really good to follow. And once you allow yourself to find that rhythm with every pose as they're strung together, you really tap into a different element of the practice. So if you're really struggling with maintaining a natural pace of breath as you move, try doing a class that's a lot slower than you're used to. Chances are, if you're struggling with keeping pace, it's probably because you're in a vinyasa class or you're doing something that has a lot of movement. Instead, take a different kind of approach and just try something that's a little bit more grounding, that's a little bit slower in its intensity. Not because you can't do it physically, but because it allows you to focus on that one really key element, which is how your breath interacts with your practice. Now, some people will disagree with me on this, but I say there's no really hard and fast rules about which poses are an inhale or which poses are an exhale. I think naturally whatever poses expand you, lift you up, are more energizing. The part of the pose or the transition that is more energizing and uplifting is an inhale. Things that are more grounding or closing in are an exhale. Once you feel it out for yourself, it's completely natural and it doesn't take much energy or focus to think about it. It just flows, it just is. So be patient with yourself. Allow yourself to uncover that pattern, that rhythm in your practice. Once you find that rhythm, you're not gonna be panting anymore, you're not gonna be struggling to keep pace or to keep in sync with your breath and your movement. It will be natural. So start off slow, work up to classes that are more rigorous, more intense, and if you find yourself falling out of sync, find child's pose or down dog or a resting pose that you can recuperate in and let it go, get back up and start again when you're ready. I think that covers it for that. So there you have it, Bad Yogi Q&A Wednesday. I really hope that was helpful. Now let me know what you think in the comments below, and of course let me know what I should answer next week because I love to hear from you. Thank you guys so much for joining me, and I'll see you right back here next time. And I know that sounds a little bit, well, it sounds a little bit whatever because it's not a good answer.